Imogen, the princess of ancient England, is secretly married to the young, poor Posthumus, against the wishes of her father and stepmother. They force Posthumus to leave and join the Roman army, and try to get Imogen to forget about him and marry the awful Cloten instead. As they part, Imogen gives Posthumus a diamond ring, and he gives her a special bracelet as symbols of their constant faith and abiding love. The queen pretends to help the lovers, but really just wants to marry Imogen off to her son Cloten so he can rule England. She gets Cornelius, the apothecary, to give her a poison for Imogen, but the apothecary doesn't trust the queen and gives her a drug that will produce a temporary death-like sleep instead. Off in Rome, Posthumus is telling all the men about how wonderful and faithful his wife is, when Iachimo challenges him to bet on it. Iachimo says if he can get Imogen to sleep with him, Posthumus has to hand over the diamond ring. Posthumus agrees. Iachimo goes to try. When Imogen utterly rejects his advances, Iachimo pretends it was just a test and says that he has a big chest of treasure for the king that he needs to keep in a secure place. Maybe, since Imogen is so faithful, in her bedroom. Imogen sweetly agrees. And that night, after she's asleep in her room with the chest at the foot of her bed, Iachimo climbs out of the chest and makes note of all the decorations and takes his time checking out her body, including a mole beneath her breast, and steals her special bracelet. Using the bracelet and the details from the room and from her body as evidence, Iachimo claims he slept with Imogen, and Posthumus is heartbroken and furious, and rants about the universal unfaithfulness of women. He sends a letter to his servant, Pisano, saying, "Take her out into the woods and kill her." Pisano tells Imogen that Posthumus wants to meet her in the forest, and she's so delighted and happy. Once there in the forest, Pisano can't bring himself to kill her and tells her everything. He suggests, since she can't go home without agreeing to marry Cloten and can't go to her husband who wants to kill her, that she should dress up as a boy in the clothes he's conveniently brought with him and go hide out in Wales. He also gives her the potion from the queen, which the queen believes is poison, Pisano believes is a rejuvenating cordial, and is actually a drug to make one appear dead. Meanwhile, Lucius arrives from Rome, demanding tribute from the British Isles, but, due to the queen's urging, Cymbeline refuses to pay tribute, and Cloten yells meaningless threats. Pisano comes back to England, and Cloten forces him to tell Imogen's whereabouts. And Cloten gets up a super creepy plan to find her and rape some sense into her while wearing Posthumus's clothes, also to convince her to marry him. He's pretty disgusting. In Wales, who has Imogen, dressed as a boy, stumbled upon but 3 cave dwellers, a father and his 2 sons, who take her in and welcome her as their 3rd brother. Little do the sons know that they actually are her brothers, and that the man they believe to be their father is actually a banished nobleman from Cymbeline's court, who stole them away when they were little children in revenge for the new queen having him banished. Imogen is feeling quite sick from all the traveling, and heartsick from the knowledge that her husband wants to kill her, and decides to take the nice cordial that Pisano gave her. Instead of improving her health, Imogen now looks like she is dead, and her adopted actual brothers are heartbroken when they find her, the sweet-faced boy, and hold a beautiful funeral. But because she's so pretty, they leave her unburied, at least for now. Cloten's plan to go get Imogen backfires when he runs into the cave-dwelling brothers, who kill him and cut off his head. Their dad sees what they've done and gets upset because he recognizes that this young man is royalty, so they put the headless body with Imogen's body. When Imogen wakes up, she finds the decapitated body of her husband, Posthumus. Remember, Cloten was wearing Posthumus's clothes? So along comes a Roman general and finds what looks like a boy sobbing uncontrollably over a headless corpse, and Imogen pretends that she is a servant weeping for her dead master. The general says, "You seem like a really good, faithful servant to care so much about your master. How about you serve me?" And so she does. Posthumus gets a letter from Pisano saying that he has killed Imogen, and here's the handkerchief to prove it, and everyone is getting ready for the big battles on account of the Britons not paying tribute to the Romans. Although coming to fight as a Roman soldier, Posthumus regrets having ordered Imogen's death and decides to fight for Britain instead. The cave dwellers also join the fight and end up saving King Cymbeline's life. Posthumus is wearing a Roman uniform, and so when the Britons win the battle, he is captured and sentenced to death by mistake. While in prison, who appears to Posthumus but Jupiter, the god of the thunderbolts, descending on an eagle. He tells Posthumus to stop moping about, and that all his miseries will come to an end, and joy will return to Britain. And when Posthumus wakes, all of this is clearly inscribed on a tablet. And now we get to the final scene. Cymbeline makes the 3 cave dwellers knights for saving his life. The physician announces that the queen is dead, but before she died, she confessed she never loved the king, and all was intended to poison Cymbeline and Imogen to make her son Cloten king. The general from Rome is about to be executed with the other Roman prisoners, but he says that his page boy is British and shouldn't die, and actually deserves favors from the king because of how excellent he is. So Imogen asks Iachimo, where did he get that diamond ring? Iachimo exclaims how he got it by pretending to sleep with Imogen on a bet with Posthumus, not realizing that Posthumus is there to overhear him. Posthumus cries out in grief that he has killed his totally faithful wife when Imogen runs to him. Posthumus is like, get away from me, stupid page boy. And Pisano is like, that's not a page boy, that's your wife. The fact that Imogen is alive makes pretty much everyone really happy. Cymbeline embraces his daughter and tells of the deceptions of the queen, and they wonder whatever happened to Cloten, whereupon everyone is astonished to discover he was beheaded by the cave dwellers who were just made knights. But how did they know who Cloten was? Because they're not mere cave dwellers, they're Cymbeline's missing sons, and the disgraced nobleman who's been living in a cave in Wales all these years. Cymbeline is sorry for Imogen that she won't get to be the queen because she has older brothers to inherit the crown, but she is delighted that she finally has brothers and is glad that all the possible objections have now been dropped for her true marriage with Posthumus. The Britons and the Romans make their peace together, and everyone lives happily ever after.